Hello everyone, welcome to another video on the Data Perspective channel. In our today's video, we'll be looking at how to filter for data in our data frame by using conditionals. So for example, if we want to look at our survey data and look at the salaries of respondents for people who know Python, then we can filter for that data only. Or if we want to look at responses of people for a specific salary range, then we can also filter that data out, and we'll be learning how to do that in this video. So without wasting time, let's dive right into it. Filtering of data is a very important operation in data analysis. In Pandas, you can use conditionals to filter for rows and select specific columns based on conditions. This allows data analysts to extract meaningful insight from large data sets by filtering for data we want from data we don't need. So I have my notebook that contains my sample data set already open, so I'll go ahead and click on that. We'll be using this sample data set to first understand how to filter for rows and columns containing specific data we need before going to our survey data to carry out some examples. So first of all, let me show you something that will be the basis for our filters. So let's say I want all rows of data where an individual has a city name of New York. If you look at this data frame, you will find out that we have two rows that meet that condition, our row 1 and our last row. So let me go ahead now and type in our line of code in my code cell. I would say df and call in the name of the column where we want our condition to be met, in this case city, and we want our city value to be equals to New York. So if I go ahead and run this, I'll be creating a filter object. And if you look at this series of data that was returned to us, it contains booleans of values which are true and false. So where this condition is being met, it returns the value of true, and where the condition is not being met, it returns the value of false. So you can see we have true for our row 1 because the city value is New York, and we have false for our row 2 because the city value is London. So if I want to go ahead and return a data frame, I refer to this as our filter, and we can apply this to our data frame to return a data frame object. So I can go ahead and save this as max, as this is our filter max, right? So let me go ahead and run this once more. And now let's apply our filter max to our data frame. So first, I'll type in our data frame name, which is df, and we can now apply our filter max. Okay, so if I go ahead and run this, you will see that we'll get only those rows of data that meet the condition where we have New York as their city name. Another way to do this is to directly pass in our filter inside our data frame. So I can say df square bracket, and let me go ahead and copy our filter. Okay, and I can go ahead and paste this here. So if I go ahead and run this, we are going to get same results. Also, if you remember our previous class when we learned on using the .look and the .iloc method, then you would know that we can also use the .look method to get these rows of data by just saying df.look and paste in your filter. So if we go ahead and run this, we are also going to get same rows of data. The importance of using this .look method is we can easily pass in a column name to look at only values of that column. So for example, if I want to look at only the values of the salary in this table, I can just pass in the column name, which is salary in this case. And if I go ahead and run this, I'll be getting just rows of data containing the salary values. Next, we'll be looking at how to use the AND and the OR operators in making multiple conditions while filtering for our data. In Python, we use the ampersand sign for AND and the pipe bar sign for our OR operator. We can also write it out manually by saying AND or OR. Either of these methods is going to work. So now let's say we want to filter our data set for rows where individual lives in New York and of the age of 25 years. How do we go about to do that? So the first thing we're going to do is to create our filter, and our first filter will be on our city where we need values that are equals to New York. Our second filter is going to be on our age column, and we'll be using the ampersand sign. So we'll say df, the name of our column, which is age, and want our age value to be 25 years. So we can go ahead and put our filters in parentheses. Okay. So if I go ahead and run this line of code, we would get boolean values returning true for rows that meet this condition and false for rows that do not meet this condition. To get our data frame, we would have to pass this our filter inside our data frame. Okay, so we'll say df and we can now pass in our filter. So if we run this, we'll be getting just that row of data that meets this condition. So we have our city, New York, and our age as 25. Next, let's take another example looking at the OR operator. So let's say we want to filter for rows of data where an individual lives in New York or the age value is of 25 years. So to do this, the same process will be filtering for our city value to be equals to New York. And we'll also create another filter, but this time around we'll be using the OR value, because what we are trying to say is we want rows to be returned where just one of the condition is being met. So let's say df our age column, and we'll pass in the age value, which is 25. So I'll go ahead and put this in our parentheses. Also fill this inside our parentheses. So if we go ahead and run this line of code now, we'll be getting a series of boolean values showing us rows where the condition is being met as true and where this condition is not being met as false. Okay, so for example, if you look at this first value, we have the value of true here. If I go ahead and look at our data frame, we would see that our age is 25 and our city value is New York. Another row that meets this condition is our row 4. We have the age as 25 and the city as London. So in this row, you see that one of the condition is being met, which is the age as 25. So this row will be returned. Another row that meets this condition is our last row of data where our city value is New York. So if we go ahead now and pass this our filter inside our data frame, so let me go ahead and copy this and pass it in our data frame. So we'll get those 3 rows of information. We have Alice, Faye, and Luke. Now I'll be showing you how to get the complete opposite of our filter. So let me say, for example, you want to get all rows of data where this condition was not being met. Okay, so how do we go ahead and do that? We can do that by using the tilde sign. We just have to pass in our tilde at the front of our filter. So let me go ahead and copy this line of code which we've written here and paste it here. So what I'll be doing is I'll be putting this our filter inside parentheses, okay, and add our tilde value now at the front of this filter. So if I go ahead and run this, we'll be getting all rows of data that do not meet our condition. You can see we have Bob, Charlie, Joy, Rose, and Sarah. And if you look at this age column and the city column, you'll find out that for the age, we have no age that is equals to 25 years, and we have no city name that is also equals to New York. So now let's go to our survey response data notebook and carry out some example here. So I'll go ahead and create some code cells. So for example, let's say we want to take a look at responses of people that are earning salary over a certain amount. How do we go about and do that? The salary column in this data set is saved as our com total column. Okay, so if we want to get rows of data where the salary is above 80,000 USD, we'll have to first create our filter, and to create our filter, we'll say data, we'll pass in the name of the column which we want to filter from. We'll be passing in the com total column. And what is our condition? We want to get rows of data that is equals to 80,000 and above. So this is our filter object which I've been creating. Remember, if I run this, it will be returning to us a series objects containing boolean values of true and false. The next thing I'll be doing now is to pass this our filter into our data frame. Okay, so let me copy this and say we want to filter our data frame using this our filter condition. And if I go ahead and run this now, we'll be getting back just those rows of data that meet our condition. So if I scroll down, it will be difficult for us to see our salary column only because we have a whole lot of columns in this data set and it has been truncated. So for us to look at only our salary column, which is our total column, I'll be using the .loc method and passing in our column name, which is total. Okay, so if I go ahead and run this now, we'll be getting just only that column of data containing those rows of values meeting our condition. And if you look at these values here, you'll see that it selected those rows. We have our row 11, row 14, row 17, row 22, and so forth. Other rows which did not meet the condition, like for example, if I scroll up, you'll see our row 3. If we go ahead and look at the total column, we got the value of 32,000. It didn't meet the condition, so it wasn't returned. Now I can also decide to look at certain columns as well. For example, I can decide that I want to see our employment column and the remote work column for these rows of data. How do I do that? All I have to do is to pass those particular column names which I want to see into a list. So we want to see the employment column, and I also want to see our total and the education level column. So I can go ahead and pass these names in our list and add it to our filter. So let me copy this and add it to our filter here. So if I go ahead and paste this, we will be getting rows of data for these particular columns which we've selected. So you can see we have our row 11, but this time around we have the employment, the total, which is the salary, and the education level of these respondents. So now let's say I want to get the survey responses of people only from a particular country. So first of all, let me get the country columns so that I can view the various names we have in that column. So I'll go ahead and run this, and with this you'll see we've gotten this particular column, and we had the .unique method to this so that we can get only those unique values. So let's say I want to filter for data where our respondent lives in the United States, Germany, India, and the Netherlands. To do this, I will have to first of all pass in the names of these countries into a list. So let me go ahead and create our list. So we need the United States of America. I'll go ahead and copy this and pass it in my list. I also need Germany, India, and Netherlands, right? So let me go ahead and copy this also and pass it in my list. So we have Germany, India, and the Netherlands. So I will name this my list names. So now I can go ahead and create this filter by saying data. We want to filter for country where the names are in this our list. Okay, so names. So if you see here, we use the .isIn method and we pass in our list titled names. Now I can go ahead and apply this filter to our data frame. So let me copy this and say data and pass in our filter inside our data frame. So let me go ahead and run this. So you see these are all the rows where the respondent either live in United States of America, Germany, India, or the Netherlands. So let's go ahead and look at our data set to see if we got those values. Okay, so you see that, okay, so these have been truncated, so we can't actually get the country column. So for us to get only the country column returned back to us, we have to use the .look method. And now go ahead and specify our column name as country. Okay, so if I go ahead and run this, we'll be getting just only that column and those rows of data that meets this condition. So you see we have United States of America, Germany, India, Netherlands, etc. So with this, we can see that all rows returned are only country names within our list. So I will just go ahead and get only the country column so that we can compare it with our values we got here. So looking at just the country column, you can see for our row 1 we have Canada. We didn't get that value here because it wasn't inclusive in our list. Then our row 2 we have United Kingdom of Great Britain. We didn't get that row because it wasn't inclusive in our list. We did not also get our row 3, which was Israel, but we got row 4 where we have United States of America. We got our row 5 where we had Germany and etc. So this brings us to the end of this video. With this, I hope you've been able to learn how to filter for data using conditions. In this video, we learned how to select rows by filtering data against certain conditions. We also learned how to select rows using multiple conditions by using the and the or operators. We also learned how to filter for categorical variables by using the .isin method. In our next video, we'll be learning on how to update values in our rows and columns. So remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content relating to data analysis. Like and share this video to your friends and loved ones interested in learning Python programming language for data analysis. And don't forget to drop your comments and questions in the comment section below. Bye for now, and see you in my next video.